So, hello and welcome to a game of That Escalated Quickly, or otherwise known as Blackout, which is a PBTA game about women rescue officers and firefighters and people essentially helping out with the situation during the London Blitz. And what this is a sort of a one-shot game, and so 2 sessions online kind of makes a one-shot. Last time we did character creation, and we played a little bit, and tonight we're going to do the same thing. Well, except for the character creation, because nobody died. But anyway, this is the Gauntlet Hangouts. If you're watching this, if you're curious about this online gaming community, you can check us out at gauntlet-rpg.com. And you can see all of the events, blogs, podcasts, and stuff that we have there. You can also subscribe to my channel if you want to watch other videos. I'm going to grab the share link. It's done that thing. So we use a Google spreadsheet, and sometimes it does a thing where it turns my permissions off from people being able to edit. So there is the link that should give you editing permission. I put that in the chat there. So this is a game about the situation during the Blitz, during the period when the bombing had moved from industrial centers and the countryside to bombing urban targets. That had changed the war. And this happens 1940. It carries on over the next few years. Originally, there's the Battle of Britain, where the RAF essentially pushed back on Hitler's Air Force, and they have to kind of turn to a war of attrition at that point, which is what we're dealing with. And we have our lady, women officers of this group. There are a couple of different services, but I'm going to have them introduce themselves just briefly so we know who the characters are, and then we will get to where we were last time. I'm going to copy this link address. I'm going to drop it in the Hangout chat as well. Look at this. I kept my Hangout thing this time because I thought I'd have to share that with you, Larry. There we go. All right. So with that in mind, let's get everyone to introduce themselves. What I do want to say is to remind everyone here, this is a game that there's tragedy, there is violence, there is war, there are class struggles, gender struggles, and so on. So we do, as a basic safety tool, have the X card on the table. And I do encourage you, if we go down some lane too far or something feels off tone for you, to use that. So let's start with our working last, Louise House. If you could please introduce Louise.
Yeah. Something's weird about the sound.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm echoing or. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So Louise is kind of a working class, very I guess very independent seeming person who is like in her mid-30s, works in an ammunition factory that used to be a different factory, but has been repurposed. She's worked there all along in both of its incarnations, I think. She's not married. She does have a flatmate who they can't stand each other. She's also inherited a rescue dog from a former member of their group who died somehow. He is a reasonably okay rescue dog, kind of not a great pet dog though.
Okay.
I think he's just like one of those very one person dogs who will potentially bite anyone else other than than his person, and which is probably a source of tension with the flatmate.
And what is the dog's name again?
Alfie.
Alfie. All right. All right. Thank you. So that's Louise. Next on our sheet is Margaret Brown, our old bird. If you could please tell us about Margaret.
I really don't like being called an old bird. That's pretty disrespectful. I was a volunteer in World War I. Now the war is back. It's bad. I don't think it's as bad as it was in the Great War, though. God help us, it doesn't get that bad. This time is different, though, because London is a focus of attacks. And I'm here to help out. I never married. My brother and I lived in a flat that was hit by a bomb. So I'm now rooming with Evelyn, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Evelyn, that's right. And basically, I'm an older woman. I've got curly gray hair. I'm pretty kind, but a little judgmental sometimes. And my role is to support the psyche of the victims of the bombing and of other team members.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Which brings us to your new flatmate, Evelyn Wright. Could you please tell us about her?
Sure. So Evelyn is the young housewife. My role is first aid. Evelyn is petite, blonde, wears her hair as a bob, mid-20s, has 2 children who shipped off to the countryside to my parents because of all the bombing in London. My husband is a soldier, and I have not heard any word from him for a long time. I have deep feelings for him, but in his absence, I've begun to question whether I actually do love him, and I'm secretly enjoying the freedom of my new life, despite all the incendiaries like falling around us. And I think I'm probably, I wonder if Ms. Brown isn't sort of, or Mrs. Brown isn't, somehow like represents like an enforcer of traditional gender roles a little bit. She mentioned that she was judgmental a little bit. I don't know if there's anything that I'm doing that might be, chafing her. Anyway, yeah, that's really the gist of me. I'm small, so I can crawl into tight spaces. That's one of the things I bring to my work.
Though your smallness was a sort of a detriment for you having to climb up to rescue those children, and yet you managed to do that.
That's right. Well, I'm also spunky, so.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Finally, we have Anne Elwood, who is our educated woman.
Yes, Anne studied Shakespeare and medieval history at Oxford, and she is now back in London, living in a flat on her own, near her family, but not with her family. She's working as a clerk in a railroad office, and she is a volunteer with the fire guard because, as a modern woman, she felt that she should take the least feminine volunteer job she could find, and she didn't think until afterwards that this meant that she would be defusing bombs, but
it is a thing that occurs.
Yes, and she is not going to back down. She's not going to let the side down.
So last session, we started out with a minor incident where the group found a number of older retirees who had a small incendiary bomb in their allotment. They were attempting to follow sort of standard procedures and trying to work with rakes and things like that. But we're having not much success, and it was getting to their chicken coop. The group were able to put that out, cover it, and were able to rescue the chickens for the most part. And so that was a good small success. They then continued on travels. They'd had some contradictory orders about where to go here in their section of London. And I'm going to imagine that we're on the east side a little bit more of London. And they came across a car accident and essentially found a man and his wife who was pregnant. Again, very dangerous to drive in the streets because you have to have those headlights out. And they had been crashed into by what appeared to be a drunken officer. So the group stole the officer's car, requisitioned, borrowed, took advantage of the officer's car to drive it over with the pregnant woman to essentially one of the first aid centers, and were able to deposit her there. Unfortunately, her husband did not make it, which is something that she will have to find out about later. Oh no, that was the person who did make it was the bike messenger. I'm sorry, for some I put that two together. No, her husband did make it. I wanted to make it more tragic. There we go. That's how my mind works. It was at that point, having caught up a little bit, that there was a larger bomb explosion, which took place at the bakery, which is next to the flour mill, kind of some flammable area there. Essentially a late shift of people working overnight. The team went there. They were able to rescue some trapped people. They were able to rescue some of the children who had been kind of on site in a makeshift daycare center. They were able to calm people down, and then use that calm to organize a fire fighting rota and get that set up. And we're able to bring the situation under control. And that's sort of where we left off last time, was in the wake of that. The fire is still smoldering, but it's the kind of thing that can be taken care of by the locals and so on. Everyone is heavily stressed. So there are a couple of things that you could do. The group could sit and essentially try and stand down to clear some exhaustion. The group could move on, which the site rating right now is a +1, which means we roll to see how things went off there. Or they could, if there's other things they wanted to try to push that site rating up, and risk exhaustion and breaks, you could do that. So let me start with what do you think, Louise? What's your thoughts on how you would want to approach this?
Okay, so the fire is under control, at least, if not out.
Yeah. People are kind of standing around. The standard fire brigade has arrived towards the end. They're getting some of that set up. People are getting set off and sent home, or at least into some kind of shelter here.
I believe there were a lot of injured people around. Is anyone kind of checking on them?
Certainly, you could. We have our first aid officer could invest in that. What do you? So you think maybe continue to work on the site here to make sure?
Yeah, I think that would be my choice. But if everyone else thinks that's a bad idea,
well, and so. So what do you want to do? Do you want to, is there a particular thing that you want to be doing that we can look to a role, or are you sitting down to catch your breath?
I'm looking to see if I what the I think I'm gonna kind of like kind of walk around and, you know, see if there's anybody who, I guess, sort of triage.
Okay.
Be like, okay, this person really needs help right now, you know, versus this person will be okay, you know, or this person's dead.
So in that case, it sounds to me like you're trying to size up the situation.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, mark an exhaustion.
Oh, good.
And roll with wise.
Oh, good. Okay, that's an 8. I think my wise is negative, but it's only negative once, so 7.
Okay. So you've got 2 hold to ask questions off size up.
Okay. Oh, there's a lot of questions. Who's in the greatest danger?
Right now, it's probably, let me think here. There are some people who have come out, and it's cold. We're in December here, who have come out and they got hit by the hoses as they were coming out, and they are over sort of, you know, makeshift coats and things like that. They're kind of soaked to the bone, and the real risk of you know, hypothermia or exhaustion or getting sick right now.
Okay.
And your second question?
Yeah. What danger am I overlooking?
I think that nobody has gone over to, I mean, they've been so concentrated here on the bakery and kind of keeping off the fire break from the flour mill, which is not, it's not operating right this second. But you don't know if anybody's gone over there to check if any sparks or anything flew over there, you know, because those can carry quite a distance.
Okay. Cool.
And we'll come back to you since you hit 5 exhaustion.
Yes.
And we'll resolve your breakdown in a second. Margaret, what do you want to do? You are muted.
Thank you. I want to be there to help calm Louise.
Okay.
I can see that she is starting to lose it. She's running back and forth and not really quite paying attention to what it is that she's trying to do.
And keep in mind, she is probably she climbed down into the basement of that, so she is you know, covered with ash and debris and stuff, and Alfie is kind of running pell-mell alongside her. So what would you do? Describe to me how you would kind of help her.
Well, I stop me if you see things differently, but I see your character running over and looking at the people who are cold and realizing that there are they need to get dried, but not actually doing anything about it, and then screaming that the flour mill might be on fire and you're running over there. I'm not super fast, but I can see that this is energy dissipating into the air and not accomplishing anything.
Right. Yes.
So at some point, I've intercepted you. I've figured out, right, you're heading toward the flour mill. I'll cut you off here, and I'm small compared to you. I'm, you know, at least a head shorter. Stop, Louise, calm down. Remember, there's another group of men who went over to the flour mill. It's going to be okay. The folks are already looking at. Just sit down for a minute, catch your breath. Let's get that grime off of your face, and I'll do that thing that grandmothers do to children that really annoys them, where they like sit a little bit on a hanky or something like that, and wipe your face, and then I'll fish around in my bag and get out something that may be actually very valuable: hot tea in a thermos.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And we'll have a nice moment of tea drinking.
So I think that's going to cause two things. One is we're definitely going to trigger the make time move, which will kind of be resolved post her breakdown. But you also have that hold yourself together, which means that when she goes to roll breakdown,
yes,
she'll get a +2 to her roll.
That's what I was going for, actually.
Okay. Well, so let's resolve that breakdown roll. Then let's do that so we don't forget that. So normally breakdown is a flat roll with nothing, but with the comfort of that tea, you may roll then with a +2, Louise.
Okay. 6 plus 2, 8.
8. So you can recover 3 exhaustion.
Okay.
Do you want to resolve a make time move then, Margaret, or because that would be how you marking exhaustion, or are you happy with what you just did?
I wasn't trying to do that. So
okay.
No, I'm happy with the result.
Okay, that was a good one. Let's come to Evelyn. Evelyn, what are you doing?
I think it probably does make sense for me to tend to some of these, just the injured people that I initially skipped over in order to rescue the trapped children. So, yeah, I'm just gonna, the closest one to me, I'm just gonna go over and start administering whatever first aid I can for them. I have my kit with me and everything.
Let's have you roll. This will be, I think, make time. This is essentially what you're doing, because you're doing sort of the broader version of your treatment, right? Because you're not focusing on like a specific person. You're trying to move around and take care of the ills. Does that seem right?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you would roll with your soft.
Oh, wow.
now, you haven't rolled yet. So I want to, do you want to maybe, we can do this and you can frame the scene in on, you treat a bunch of people, but here's the one person who's injured. And then we can go to your treatment roll and lean into your strengths.
Right. Well, no, that I did in fact roll. I don't want to misrepresent what I did. I got a snake eyes. That's why I said, "Oh wow."
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, so I was assuming that we were going with the
make time.
The make time move, yeah. Right? So yeah, I think I was trying to provide this more generalized comfort to like a group of people,
and
which did not work out.
You get to pick one from that list. From the make time with NPCs. Choose from this list instead.
Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. On a miss, choose one anyway, and play out goes wrong. Okay, I see. Oh, I'm choosing from the bottom list because they're NPCs.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. They stay quiet. They stay still. I think maybe it's that they stay quiet. That I'm trying to engage them, and they're just it's not going over well for some reason.
Well, and they do. I mean, we have kids there. You're trying to keep them from shrieking and freaking out, and there are also parents who are kind of on the edge of collapse. You're doing that medical treatment that forces them to kind of focus in on you. and you're certainly able to do that. However, there are so many people here. There are so many people. And normally you mark an exhaustion for doing make time. I'm going to have you mark a second exhaustion.
Okay. So I'm just sort of getting like overwhelmed and a little frazzled. There's just too many people.
Yes.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to we're going to check against the raid clock then, because that was a failed roll.
Oops.
So I roll the raid die. Okay. So that will reset to 1. So even as you are kind of doing that and running around in the distance, more towards the train lines and actually towards the apartments, you'll hear that solid sound, that whistle that comes down, where everybody kind of gets down because they hear it. It's clearly close, and you can see that sort of red and yellow light come up from somewhere near the rail tracks, near the housing. You're not sure where, but so we have another site that is on the board there. I'm going to write that down. And I've written that. This is why I shouldn't type in front of people, because I will do it wrong. Okay, so that's site 3 that is on the table. Let's come to you, Anne. You're kind of on the edge of things, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to size up the situation and make sure that the site is really stable before we move on, because as Louise said, there are a lot of sparks flying around. I want to make sure that we've actually got all of the fires under control before we move on to the next spot.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll that size up.
Okay, that is a 10.
Okay, so you have 4 hold.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, I am spending a hold on my Burn the Midnight Oil to avoid hitting 5 exhaustion.
Oh, good call. Very nice. I was all set to hit you with a break there. Good.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Is there any danger that I'm overlooking?
I think you can confirm about the potential fire hazard at the flour mill. That's right now. Beside that and the people freezing in the cold, those are the 2 dangers that can be taken care of if people are assigned there. Right.
Okay. So who is in charge here? I want to find some. Make sure that somebody is in charge.
There is one of these volunteer firefighters who's kind of taken over. A 30-something man. The person who was arguing with you before is not arguing with him, of course. And he seems to be kind of directing things.
Yeah. So I mean, I talk to him. I brief him on the status of the fire and everything that's around, and
you kind of clue him into the fact that people need to check at the flour mill, and so he will dispatch some people over that way.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I've got 2 more holds, but actually I don't think there's anything else I need to ask about.
No, I think that will actually raise the site's rating to a +2 for when all of you decide to do that. So let me ask the group then, does the group want to stand down to do any recovery, or do you want to move on?
I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
When we got orders I know we got two conflicting orders. I think one of them was to go to the northeast, which is right around where the flour mill is.
Yeah.
Is the map, is that a map of our area of responsibility?
Yeah,
or
that's
is
sort
the
of your
northeast the error?
Your community, your whole sector is sort of under your purview.
Yeah, yeah. Our assignment for the evening was we were supposed to be, I think, be patrolling near the railroad office, but then we got a conflicting set of orders which sent us up here near the flour mill.
All right.
The railroad office, and
Yeah.
we're out of position from where we were originally supposed to be. But I mean, what are you going to do? So mechanically, what happens if we take the time to rest? That means we're leaving a situation unattended to.
So here's what it will happen. If you stand down, we can roll once on the raid clock. The raid clock's at a 1. So it's not going to, if you do this just once, it's not going to cause any problem. The site, though, that you need to go to will get a little bit worse. But it will give you the opportunity to clear exhaustion. And essentially you'll get to clear as many exhaustion as I roll on this die 6. Otherwise, you would move on, and that is a mark exhaustion move for everybody when you do that.
Okay.
So we'd have 2 people break down just by leaving here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 1 person, because I can burn a little bit more midnight oil, but I mean, I think we need to stand down, even though there's another incident.
Okay. Does that sound reasonable to everyone? Okay. In that case, I'm going to do 2 things. The first thing I'm going to do, just because it'll allow me to be awful, is I'm going to increase the train apartment site to a -3. And then the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to roll this raid die, and this is how much exhaustion everyone will get back. I'm re-rolling selected. Everyone can get back 4 exhaustion. And the raid clock will go to 2. So what does that look like? I mean, you realize that you kind of have to catch your breath here before you can head out towards that area. So what does that look like? You kind of were talking about this, Anne. What do we see of you? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody on the site has managed to put together just like a little break station where they've got a big pot of coffee going for the rescue workers and the workers at the mill who are fighting the fire. And I think I just go over there and I grab a big mug of coffee, and I sit down, I'm warming my hands on the mug of coffee as much as I'm drinking it. I'm just.
That sounds good. And they probably actually got some bread here. I mean, was a bakery, so they've salvaged that. It's stuff that they really can't use, so they're pulling out, dusting things off, and there is bread to be eaten here.
I think you mean toast, right?
Yeah. Delicious hot bread. And Evelyn, what do we see of you what does your rest here look like?
I mean, it sounds like Anne is pretty cozy, so I'm not sure exactly what our relationship is like, actually. But
well, that's a good question. Anne is an educated woman, independent, right, younger than you. How do you feel about her?
Probably at least some measure of envy and awe, right? I mean, so she has this education that I lack, and I probably see her as being like more independent than I am. Yeah, I think I'd like to saddle up or sidle up next to her. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are enough cups to go around, so maybe we end up like sharing the the mug together.
Okay.
Does that sound good, Anne?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I start talking about the scene in Henry V where the soldiers are sitting around the campfire. Just brings it to mind.
It's good that you're playing Anne and I'm playing Evelyn because it's actually over my head. So,
right.
So, Anne, what is your impression on the flip side? What's your impression of Evelyn?
I think Evelyn is just this very traditional, very boring woman who has never developed her mind.
Wow, say how you really feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say this to her, of course.
Right. Sure.
Right.
Do you, now, how do you feel about that? Is that something that you resent? Is it something that you feel a little more superior over? What's your feeling about that?
I mean, I secretly feel a little bit superior, but I try to tell myself that I shouldn't. And yeah, I'm sort of looking for signs that she's thinking for herself. Like if she ever showed any interest in Shakespeare, I would show up the next day with a copy of one of his plays.
That seems excellent there. So let me move on here to Margaret. What do we see of you during this catch your breath rest?
Margaret's usually always chatting with people and mixing with them, but when she's at this stage, she needs some time alone. So she's moved off into the shadows, away from that pot of coffee that's attracted everyone. And if someone were to look, they would see her doing something that she does frequently. In fact, she does it at home as well. She's got these little scraps of fabric, colorful fabric that usually are just found blowing around after a bombing. And she very vigorously is using her small hands to tie them into knots. And she knots them up and then does more knots. And the end result, after about 5 or 10 minutes, is a little doll. So she makes these little rag dolls that she then distributes when the time is right to various children. She may have given some to the children that we pulled out of the nursery here at the mill. Anyway, so that's what she's doing.
Is this something she learned from her mom? Is this something that she just came up with her own? What do these rag dolls mean for her?
Well, in terms of I think she developed this on her own. She's a busybody. When she's in the church, she is always, front of the line serving coffee and then working on the this and that guild and the decorations committee and so on. And this is just a way for her to channel stress into doing something productive and making something out of these ruins. I think it's a psychological healing thing for her. It also reveals that she really loves children. Which we may
Interesting.
revisit.
No, very nice. I like that detail. So, which brings us to Margaret and Alfie. Margaret, what do we see of you in this catching your breath, resting period? Oh, not Margaret. I'm sorry, Louise. I apologize.
Yeah, I got it though. It's fine. I think. Let's see. Oh, I got kind of had a beam fall on me last session at the end of it. So I think this is mostly just kind of like sitting on the ground, like petting Alfie and just kind of waiting for kind of waiting for the intense pain to go away, and also kind of watching things going around like, okay, actually okay, they've got things under control. It's not as bad as I thought.
And as you're sitting there, and Alfie's, you know, he's a little standoffish dog, but you're hurt, so he kind of makes sure that he stands by, you know, by you. And one of those, this guy will walk over, and you don't really recognize him, but when he comes to you, you see he's got, I mean, he's covered with soot and marks and things like that, and you think he might have been one of the people down the basement. You didn't see very well down there, and he says, I just wanna thank you, miss. I thought we were all goners there.
So I put my hand on Alfie, like, no, it's okay. He's not actually. Don't even think about biting him. And yeah, like I'm glad. I hope everyone got out safely. I think everyone. Is anybody?
We've got a few on the missing list right now, but more out because of you than wouldn't have been.
I'm glad. I'm just. That's.
Thank you much. Your husband must be very proud.
I think I just nod.
Okay.
So I don't want to get into a long conversation.
I like that. You just
I'm tired.
let it go.
I don't want to. Yeah, it's
perfect. And you will watch. I mean, you do see some of the other people that you rescued, and they are getting this down. And then you'll realize the section needs to get moving, needs to start heading over there. So everybody will mark 1 exhaustion. And someone needs to roll with the sight state, which is a +2 right now. So who would like to make that roll and take the blame for it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So that's a 9.
That is a 9. Everyone gets 1 more victory, so you should have 2 at this point. And everybody gets to take a new move from your roll. The clock is set to that. No failure on that, so we're all good. So the area that you're heading over to is we've got a set of warehouses. We've got Evelyn's apartment. We've got Louis' apartment. The rail lines over there. Evelyn, tell me something about this section of the neighborhood. What kind of place is it?
So we're by the apartment flats, is that right?
Yeah, you're moving. Essentially, I'm imagining that you're moving past the park, heading over to that top northwestern area.
Gotcha. I don't really know much about London. I mean, this is definitely not a posh area.
Okay.
You know, given that we're basically adjacent to some warehouses. They must have had some kind of like tenement buildings where they've got people relatively like packed in.
Yeah.
Like small apartments, probably a bit dingy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's wartime too, so maybe even more so.
Right.
I imagine there's probably like a fair amount of like just like trash litter about.
You're on the east end. This is the east side of the city. It's definitely the poorer portion of the city, and there are these housing buildings, these apartments. Yeah. So and less attention is given by the public works to cleaning up the rubble and stuff. So you are on your way over there. As you get closer, probably walking through the broken glass and bits and things like that. Let me ask then of Louise, what is this park? I know we had put this park on the map. is it just the edge of a big park what we see there, or is it just a small park? What kind of park do you imagine it is?
Hmm. I think it's small. I think it's just kind of there's not really much there. It's mostly just sort of an open rectangle of space that maybe has so like swing set or something for
Okay.
kids, and it's like some benches. It's just a place that people kind of hang out on nice evenings.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a small pond where the kids can push the paper boats out, but it's so
Yeah.
small compared to the ones in the bigger parks. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, I like that. And Margaret, now your place was destroyed or was caught. Do you before this? Did you live in this area? Is this closer where you were? Or were you maybe closer to a nicer part of town, towards the sort of the east edge of this section?
I was definitely not in a posh area, very working class, but maybe not right here. Maybe it was just on the other side of the tracks, kind of
Okay.
closer to the Pig and Whistle, which is,
Oh, yeah. It's nice being very close to the pub. Yeah, that's good. Okay, okay. And Anne, I'm going to ask you one question here before I kind of just set the stage for the site that we're at here. What kinds of warehouses are here? What is stored in these warehouses?
I think, well, some of it is food and like grain and stuff. That's why the bakery is nearby. But there are also some clothing warehouses, and there's some clothing works in the neighborhood.
That makes sense. Yeah, you got that stored there, sort of warehouse. We've got these buildings. You will reach the tracks and kind of head over, and you can see that there is smoke kind of pouring out of Louise's apartment. That building is that there's kind of smoke coming out of that. You can see that this front side, the windows are all shattered on all 4 floors. There is a big crater in the center of the street there, and there's water pipes and stuff that are spraying out, and it looks like there are scattered fires that have kind of sparked in some of the debris and garbage. It's not a raging inferno, but it's definitely sparked, and it looks like when that hit the center with that crater, that it definitely threw up a bunch of rock and rubble, and the front sort of entryway of the apartment building is kind of collapsed in and impassable right this second. And that's where we're going to take up after our break. We'll take 5 and we'll burn your apartment building down. All right. So I imagine that these areas with these apartment buildings, from what I know when I'm looking at the photos of London and what I know from one little visit there, is that we've got these warehouses, but then we've probably got these apartment blocks and things are pretty dense. So, there's an apartment building, and then there are adjacent buildings and there's buildings back behind on these kind of blocks that are slightly uneven to our modern eyes of how the streets are laid out there. And the street itself is probably fairly narrow there. So which means that crater kind of takes up the whole of the front of this. And there are people who are out here, from the neighboring buildings and from other places that are kind of scattered. That sort of clearly some people were on the street, and you can see that there are a few bodies, people who might have been coming back from a shift and got hit just by the explosion and the blast wave. So, Louise, given that this is your place that we've ignited, what do you want to do?
What do I want to do? I mean, so the bomb hit like the street and...
Yeah, it seems to have hit the street, and it seems to have sent up fragments, and essentially, clearly there's a fire that has started in the lower floors of the apartment building that is smoldering and starting to carry up.
We should probably take care of the fire.
Okay, so
it seems like it could get worse.
Okay, so should I do Anne first and then come back to you?
I mean, I think I like, kind of look back at Anne, see that she's coming, and head for the fire because I'll help put it out.
Okay, so you're going to kind of try to move up and maybe get in to get a sense of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to get your bearings first, or are you kind of pressing on in since this is your apartment building, like a little more recklessly? Let's rub my hands together. It's cold. No, nothing to it.
No, nothing. My sides. No, I think I will like take a moment and be like, okay, so how far up is the fire gone? Is it safe to go up a floor and like get people out of there, or is it better to stay here, put the fire out, and then go up further?
Why don't you roll wise? So mark exhaustion, and we'll do your size up.
Okay. Am I in danger?
Pardon?
Am I in enough danger to use nerve instead of wise?
It's your apartment, so yes.
Okay.
I think you have a personal stake in this.
Oh wait, I have green, not blue. Okay, good. That's still not great, but oh good. Okay, at 8 or yeah, 8.
8. So you mark exhaustion, but you get 2 hold to ask questions. So what's a first question on your mind?
Let me see this. Who's in the greatest danger?
So one of the things as your 4-floor building, you're on one of the lower places, but the top floor is of the building kind of got requisitioned, and they packed in a number of refugees from the continent, essentially families that escaped. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of packed up on the top, and you're kind of looking, and you're seeing the fire down here, but you're also seeing a glow up top, and you think maybe something else might have hit the roof, like maybe another bomb, and there's a second fire up there. And given the situation, given the dense pack of people on that top floor are probably in the most danger right now.
Okay. Cool. How can I get in there?
You could essentially go up the fire ladder that's on the side. There's not a full fire escape per se, but there is a one-person go up rickety ladder that goes up the side.
Cool. That's what I'll do.
Okay. And I'm going to actually come into a different order than I usually do to come to you since you are the firefighter. Let me see what you're doing.
I think I'm going to get to work on putting the blaze out. I'm going to get a hose set up and sort of direct the bystanders to sort of get organized, get them a little bit organized in fighting this.
So
and I think it's primarily a douse blaze move rather than a
here's one of the things you're going to realize as you go to kind of do that is normally you'd go from maybe some of the pumps and mains that are here. It looks like those pipes have been damaged by that blast that kind of took out the center of the street there. And so you're going to have to figure out, a way to get the water that you need. How would you think you'd do that? Would you go to a neighboring area, do longer hoses? Would you do a bucket brigade? What do you imagine?
Yeah, let's see. Just quick. Right, I think we're going to need to get. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to need to get some more equipment, get longer hoses, and set up with the hydrants that are further from the blaze.
All right. So does that sound like maybe a take charge? Kind of getting organized, getting the people grabbing them. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's have you roll with bold.
Okay, that's not so good. That is a 5.
That is a 5. So one of the things you'll realize as you kind of start to go to talk to some of these people here, like this group of people who are kind of agitated on the ground, is you get over to them and they turn to you and they're not talking English. It sounds vaguely Eastern European, and they're kind of arguing and they're gesticulating and they're kind of pointing up, and they clearly don't understand. This group doesn't understand what you want. And
I have a sage advice move, which when you offer hard-earned advice, count as helping, and it removes a hard move. Is that something I can do now, or do I need to do that before the roll?
Let me take a look at that and see how that is written there. That's a really good question. I think you have to do it beforehand. Essentially, and what helping means is that they get to roll an extra die and take the 2 best. Essentially, you can always do, if you have a bond, you can help, but that allows you to do it even without a bond with someone.
Gotcha.
And I think my form up move, it works even though I got a terrible result. So I've got 3 holds that people can use to help.
Oh yeah, no, I think that absolutely works. You've got these people, Polish exiles, Polish refugees that are here, that are confused, and you don't think they're from this building, but maybe they're from one of the adjacent buildings, but they have family that's up there, and they're freaking out right now. So let's come to our welfare officer. And then we will go to our first aid person.
Right. Well, these people who are freaking out are not helping anything and liable to make things worse. Right. So I'm going to try to calm them.
Yeah. They're in a foreign country. They don't understand this. The food is terrible. All of that. So
I think it's just moving amongst them and mostly body language, because I can't speak to them. But I can smile. I can grab them by the shoulder and just kind of, maybe not, hugging is probably a little too formal, but, or familiar, but almost a hug, an embrace, I guess. And a smile, and I'm going to try to get them to see to the people who are in the street. You said there were some injured, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We need to move them to a place that it'll be safe to triage them from.
Okay. So that sounds like you're doing hold the line?
Yes.
Okay. Then let us
let's see.
Have you roll.
Ooh, the line is soft, thank goodness. So that makes it a mighty 6.
You have a 6?
I have a 6.
All
including
right.
my soft.
Okay. Then what I'm going to do is, okay, and that'll go up 1. So put that up to that. Get that right. Yeah. Okay. So raid clock is at 4 right now. So you go to do that, and they've clearly kind of had enough. Like they put up with the English so much. But then there's also, you'll see some Brit neighbors that have come over and are starting to like argue with them. And there's that thing where you know the arguments kind of going back and forth. Neither group is understanding language, and then they kind of don't have time for you. And I think that you will see a fist fight break out, and there's that kind of pushing, fighting going on, you know, of people who've been super under stressed, and you know, essentially this Donnybrook breaks out, and we'll come back to that in a second. So let's come to, and don't forget to mark. Oh, you don't. That one doesn't give you exhaustion, does it? No, it does. Hold line does. Okay, yeah. So Evelyn, you know, you've seen Louise kind of moving up on the house. Anne's getting people organized, trying to get people organized for the fire, but it's not going well. There's this fight that's breaking out. There's still people in the street. What do you want to do?
I kind of want to interject myself into the arguing, because I feel like that's the most pressing matter. Also, I want to help Anne, who like just totally impressed me with those Shakespearean quotes. So I guess it maybe I don't know if I can do both at the same. I mean, I want to like sort of calm the situation down, but I also want to like communicate, like, no, we need a hose, I think was Anne's idea. And so like what I'm thinking, like, you know, I feel like whenever I see tourniquets or something like that, like in the movies, they're usually like a short section of like tube, you know, and I was thinking I could try to use this tube to explain that we're looking for a hose to these Eastern European folk. But I guess maybe I have to like calm it down first.
Yeah, I think the first step is breaking up this fight. Okay. And I think that requires you to take charge.
All right. What stat is that?
That is bold.
Am I bold? I am not bold, but you know what? I'm gonna.
Not so much.
We're gonna make it work.
Because we do have someone with a move that can assist you.
Oh.
Let me kind of interject here briefly with Margaret. You will see that Evelyn is about to insert herself into this fight to try and break it up.
This teeny woman between these large angry men.
two teeny women together.
Yes. Old and young. Older
I
and
would
young.
love to help you, because I think you're in over your head.
So what is your sage advice? What are the words of wisdom, the hard-fought wisdom that you have that will help Evelyn see this through?
I don't know that I have any words of advice about the fight, but I do have some other advice.
Okay.
I'm grabbing you by the hand and pointing up at the roof. Almost all buildings, I'm pretty sure in London, certainly in New York, I know this is true, have like a water tank on the top. So the water pressure is low enough that they have to put water up to the roof that's then used for the showers and so on. So if we could get up there, we'd have water. That's what we used to do in the war. If you don't have either that, or we can get these men to use their energy for a bucket brigade. Are there any buckets around here? Our helmets.
All right. So she is trying to help you, which means that you may roll bold with 3d6.
Okay.
Right. I mean, you can actually spend, and it sounds like you can actually spend one of the holds for my taking charge to roll with 4d6.
Yes.
Oh, dang. Okay. So I'm grabbing all these blue and green dice, and I'm rolling them all. Aha.
Okay.
An 11.
Okay. I'm going to say the blue dice that rolled a 1 doesn't count as a fault for helping. That we'll say that is the 1 hold spent dice. So you mark exhaustion because you take charge, right?
Yes.
How? What do you do that stops these two groups? What happens that keeps them from getting into an all-out fist fight?
I think it's a choice between screaming or maybe slapping one of them. I feel like no, slapping probably wouldn't go over well. I'm just going to just like a shriek, just a straight up shriek. I mean, they thought like the air raid siren was loud. It's nothing. On this.
Is this your mom voice?
Oh, I don't know if I've ever yelled at my kids quite this loudly.
You've thought about it though?
I thought about it. Inside, I've been screaming this loud, probably for quite a while. This is just the first time I've vocalized it.
And you let it out. You do that shriek, and it's kind of that incoherent shriek of stop rage when they will all kind of like come to a halt like that, and you kind of get them held for the moment. And in a second, I'll come back to you and see how you can turn that to a constructive force. But meanwhile, Louise, you're going to go up this ladder.
Yep.
So Louise, you get like a couple feet up the ladder, and you hear.
Yeah. Sorry.
You see Alfie's at the base of the ladder. He's got his paws up. He's kind of scritching, like he doesn't want you to go. He doesn't want you to leave him there.
Yeah. Sorry, Alfie. I don't think you can make it up the ladder. You need hands for that. Like, stay down there and help them.
Okay.
Don't fight anyone.
Let's have you think this is you. You're pressing on. This is a 4-story climb. Building is on fire. You're trying to get to the top. Let's have you roll with nerve.
Sure. Ten.
So yeah, you do it. I mean, and with speed and skill, you'll get up to the top, and you will see. Yeah, it looks like a section of the roof has kind of been blown open, and there are flames licking out of it. And there's obviously sort of a door on the roof downstairs. There's the water tank that's up here. And you can confirm, yes, that there are people that are trapped. Like this is hit. It hit the main hallway on that 4th floor. So they're all kind of trapped in their apartments, respectively.
Okay. Well, there's this water tank. I got to put out this fire.
Okay. How do you do that? This is a big tank. This isn't something you could tip over.
Right. How is this thing connected to like the building plumbing? Is it just...
I assume there's a metal, like a decent sized metal tube.
Okay. And how close is that to like if I broke that open, would water go in the right direction?
It would help.
That's what I'm going to do then.
So tell me, how would you bust open a metal plumbing tube?
I have I have a shovel or a pry bar. I think I already established it was a shovel, which is much less handy for this, but not completely useless. Plus, I can use the blade to direct the flame, or direct the water. So I think I just like use it as an axe, and just like chop at it. Just trying to make a hole.
Let's see how well this works. This is dangerous. You're kind of standing on this roof that's getting hotter. You're trying to hit this, go down. Let's have you roll with nerve once more.
13.
So it's a spectacular hit. Like you wind up and you bring it like a cricket bat on into this, and it will cut, and then you kind of pull, and that water, the pressure, because it's been cold, so there's probably like a little bit of ice on there. It's kind of helped pushing it down in, and it will spray out and like goes right into that hole. And it is putting out this top floor fire. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay. Don't forget to mark exhaustion. And we'll come back to Anne.
I think I need to size up the situation.
Okay.
And so
mark exhaustion and roll with wise.
Yeah. That's a 7.
That is a 7. So you get 2 hold.
Yes. All right. So where is the nearest usable source of water?
If you could get a good bucket brigade going and get people to like climb down into that crater, you could. I mean, it's got water in the bottom. I mean, that seems like the closest and most ready for this lower level fire, essentially the stuff that's on the first and second floors here. Or sorry, ground floor and first floor, because it's Britain, of the building. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, that's a fair answer. So I think, yeah, right. So it's okay. And what danger am I overlooking?
Probably that because of the sort of debris that's on the front of the building, for this ground and first floor, you don't have a great sense of how bad the fire is in there. Like, right. You haven't had a chance to get in there and examine that, and that does look like you need to know that to make a judgment call.
Right.
Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I need to work on getting these people organized into a bucket brigade.
Okay. So let's come back to Anne and Evelyn and I'm never going to get these names, am I? Evelyn and Margaret. What you calmed this situation down? You've broken up the two sides. Anne is probably yelling to you about the bucket brigade. What do you want to do?
Well, I mean, so the thing up top, your idea has already basically been put into practice.
Yeah.
By Louise. So maybe we should, try to organize this bucket brigade since our fire guard, that's her idea, her specialty. So I mean, you could talk to the Londoners, and I'll do my pantomime. Like I'll take off my helmet, and be like,
Right.
start doing some sign language with the foreigners.
That seems reasonable.
Good.
Do you want to roll take charge?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's have you roll take charge with these Polish refugees.
I think that was the same, so I'm going to try it one more time. Okay, that's a 9.
Okay. So they will kind of listen, and they're like, oh. And what happens is that none of the guys want to listen to you. But the women who are there, you see this exasperated look on their faces, like, cannot believe this, and they start climbing down into that crater and looking for people to throw, buckets down to them, and they're kind of, talking to one another. And does that seem fair?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, women power.
Yeah, and mark exhaustion for the take charge.
Okay.
And what are you doing then, Margaret?
We need buckets. We need containers. So I'm actually going to approach one of the Polish women.
Okay.
And show her my hat. And I'm trying to kitchen, Kuchen, Wasser, and I'm pantomiming the water. I'm pantomiming using it as a bowl. I'm trying to I'm pointing at the windows. Are there any kitchens on the first floor that we could get some pots from? I'm assuming that there aren't. I mean, if I'm mistaken, and the fire service has put pails around for this kind of emergency that would just go and get. Of course, I'd do that.
This is the East End. There are buckets, but not in these neighborhoods.
Right.
So I think that
every family has pots.
So let's have you roll take charge.
Yeah. And I got a total of 4 on that one.
All right.
I'm single-handedly bringing on the next disaster.
All right. So they seem to not understand. They kind of, just trying to get the bucket brigade together there. And I think to do this, you actually have to walk over to the edge and kind of talk to them as you're doing this. And as you do, you kind of hear a rumble, like something explodes in the building. It kind of shakes you, and that's when you lose your footing. And you go down the side of this crater into this great pool of muddy, stagnant water and sewage that is at the bottom of this. And it's immediately in your boots. It's in your clothing. It's in your knickers. It's in everything. And well, the women there are helping you up, but there is that moment where you get a big mouthful of that. And now let me roll this. Oh, that's equal. Okay. So raid clock is at 5. All right. So you've managed to douse the fire here. But what do you want to do next, Louise?
Yeah, so I think I'm standing at the edge of the hole, like, or close to the edge of the hole, waiting for the steam to dissipate some, because I've made this mistake before. You know, once it's not billowing out and ready to burn me, as soon as I'll climb down into the hole and look and see if there's anyone alive and capable of getting out of here.
Absolutely. You will do that. The hallway is in very difficult shape. You can see that the fire has spread there. The bomb kind of just lit things up. You probably end up having to use your shovel to maybe pry one of these doors open, and find this, you know, this kind of packed family in here. And they look at you like, okay, what should we do? Should we go to the, I mean, you came down from the roof. What should they do?
I just kind of gesture like, come on, and I'm gonna like try to maybe lift one of those smaller people and try to just like get people up to climb up and then climb down the ladder.
Okay. So this seems to me like press on, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But you have a lifeline, which is you have +1 when you press
That's
on,
right, yes.
leaving the way you came.
Uh, 9.
9. So as you're doing that and you're getting them out and you're getting some of the other, you know, you're kicking down the doors, that you will hear a couple more like pops and cracks, and you can see on the first and second floors, windows blow out. Like the fire has gotten up to that level. Like inside, it is now kind of raging, and you can, that smoke is now, it's got the oxygen to feed the fire. Flames are licking out of that, and you will see your apartment window blow out.
Yeah, great.
Oh no!
What flies out the window? That is that you recognize? Is it a chair? Is it curtains? What is it? Do you suppose that?
I think it's magazines.
Okay, yeah, like you're stacked carefully, you know, kept magazines, and it just is that like just a confetti of slightly singed magazines, so kind of floating down to the ground. But these people are coming down the ladder as best they can right now, and you're getting them down. Anne, let's come back to you.
Okay. Well, we still don't have a bucket brigade going, so I think I need to take charge again.
Okay.
And these are Polish refugees. They're Catholic. I am going to try talking to them in Latin this time.
Okay. That sounds. I kind of like that. I will tell you what. I will give you a +1 from your medieval history.
Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking.
That's perfect.
So, oh dear. Even with the +1, that is a 4.
That is a 4. All right.
This site is
God.
Such a disaster.
So raid clock goes to a 6. Okay. So you go to do that, and you will realize that yes, there are some Catholics here, but maybe they know the Te Deum, and maybe they know the Mass in Latin, but that's probably it. They have no clue beyond that, and they're kind of looking at you like you're crazy, and I think what's another. So I think you'll probably catch sight that the building fire is getting worse, and you're a little worried now that it may not be possible to actually put out the fire in this building. You may need to start looking at, keeping it from spreading to adjacent buildings. Does that seem fair?
Yes. This
Okay.
is the situation is going from hopeless to more hopeless.
Okay. Let's come back to Evelyn and Margaret. Let's start with Evelyn. Evelyn, you see Margaret go.
Yeah, yikes. I mean, I think I'm gonna. I guess it's not as urgent as the flames consuming the building.
Right.
Having said that, like I feel like it's not. I feel like I've done everything I can for the fire and trying to get the Polish women to help. So I'm just gonna scramble down into the crater. After Margaret and help her up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I think I'm some kind of making time. I think
that's perfect.
With Margaret.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's have you roll with soft.
All right. And that's a 6. Do I? Oh, no, I don't have a +1 soft. That's somebody else. Okay, so I have a 6.
So here's the thing. On a miss, you choose one anyway, and then play it out to see how it goes wrong.
Oh, okay. That's juicy. All right, so I will choose. So how could we gain a bond and still have it go wrong?
Oh, no.
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
No, I think you choose one anyway, and then I think that you don't get up out of this crater. I think that.
Oh, wrong in that sense. Okay, something external to. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, then I want to gain a bond because I don't have any bonds with anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel lonely. So we need to define sort of like the nature of that bond, I assume.
Yeah.
Is there any rules around that, or
they're very generic about how they do those bonds. What do you think that relationship is?
I think. I mean, older woman. Older young woman. I mean, so maybe we've had some friction in the past. I think maybe I've been spending too much time, like maybe alone with men, and you thought, but so we've had that friction, okay. But now,
we're both
like,
wet. We're both like drowned rats down here in the bottom of this hole. It's just funny. It's
we laugh.
Hey,
yes.
Yeah.
The absurdity of life.
Like I'm dragging you up. Oh, maybe I'm dragging you up, and then like I end up like falling in with you, and we're just like lying there like dirty and wet. And I mean, how can you just not laugh at the situation? I love it. Yeah.
And it's at that moment that sort of simultaneously sort of two things, because the bombers are still going over. This is sort of the tail end of the raid. You will hear some explosions way off in the distance. London, you're in the kind of the outer regions of London. In the center is called the city. It's where all the modern finances and stuff like that. And it's sort of the inner heart of it. And you will hear some explosions, and there is this glow coming from that, like a red glow that lights up the horizon, almost like dawn. Like there's a big fire there. But that catches your attention for just a moment, because that's where Buckingham Palace is, where St. Paul Cathedral is, all of the great features. But it's when the bomb hits Louise's apartment building. And we've had some near misses and some, small bombs and things like that. This bomb hits and it cracks through. You'll hear that pew, that sound, and then it explodes. And that building is blown apart.
Oh, shit.
Where you are down here, a couple blocks down the way, everyone here is knocked off their feet. All of these Londoners that were standing around kind of arguing with the Polish refugees are just knocked flat. Things are lifted up. Everything shakes here. And you have to get out of the way because stone and rubble and rocks begin to just fall out of the sky. That there is no more building. It is gone. And everything that was there is history. And I want you to imagine also, you can barely hear each other now. You've got that sort of reverb of that. So let's check in with you, Margaret. You've kind of finished off that laughter of the absurdity of life, and then this happens.
Now, just to be clear, is it Lois's apartment that we're fighting the fire in that just blew
I'm sorry,
up,
not
or
Louise's.
is
I
it
meant Evelyn's apartment. I apologize.
Okay.
our
Mhm.
apartment? Okay,
Yeah.
we don't know that. We just know it's down the
Right,
street from
right.
us.
Well, it's a couple blocks down, so you will know that it goes up.
Right. Well, my first reaction, I know what we did in World War I when there was shelling. You find yourself in a trench or a crater and keep your head down. And we happen to be in a crater right now. I throw myself on top of Evelyn to protect her from falling rubble.
Absolutely. So I think that we're going to have you roll the make time move for that.
It's not a good one. What are we?
You accidentally smother me.
That's a total of 6.
Okay. Well, the good news is you get to pick one from the list for PCs.
I can't imagine it would remove exhaustion. I'm going to give her a +1 forward on something.
What is the piece of rubble that hits you? What hits you, Margaret?
I could be ironic by being in some personal thing, but that would be silly. So I think it's it's a brick.
Okay, you get you kind of push her down, and it is just these bricks come raining down. The Polish women are screaming, as this rain of stone comes down, and one of these bricks hits you right mid back, like just right mid back, and you're going to mark a harm, and you're not sure, but you're pretty sure something fractured there. And the wind is absolutely knocked out of you. Louise, you're getting the last of these people down, off the building, and Alfie's kind of shepherding them, as they do, kind of pushing them out, getting them out into the street. And you're on sort of the far side of the building. So you're not quite hit by that blast wave, but you will feel that the building shakes. Everyone who's on the ground, who's kind of moved out into the street, you see them actually lifted up off their feet and dropped down. And you can also tell that the interior of your building is just an inferno right now. So what would you do?
Okay. Building's a lost cause. Anyone who was on the 3rd floor is dead, or about to be. I think it's just try to get everybody as far from it as possible.
Okay.
Maybe into this crater.
Absolutely. This is you taking charge, maybe? Does that seem right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Let's have you roll with that.
It's an automatic fail.
Oh.
because I took second wind and I broke. I hit 5 on exhaustion again.
Oh, so you go to maybe get them to safety, but they're panicked, and they've just come down off the roof, and you start to do that, and they've had the dog yapping at them, and they run in all directions, and you will see 2 or 3 of them get caught by this debris. They don't get to safety as things are kind of falling out of the air. So it's crazy now. They can barely hear. The situation has just gotten terrible. Let's come back to Anne.
Okay. So now we've got 2 sites. We've got the bombed out building up a bit north of us, and we've got the fire that's out of control here.
Yes.
And, I think I am going to head toward the other side, because at least there's water there.
Okay.
And I can do some good, and maybe I can find some people who will understand English and can help.
So you will take off from this site, and you'll start running past the warehouse, the couple blocks up towards that area. And when you get there, have you been to their apartment? Did you know this place? You work on the rail line. Had you seen this place before?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember. I think I might have even established that I was living in this building.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
There are some, like, of the frame of the brick on the sort of first floor is there, maybe with a few wooden beams, but everything else is gone. All 4 floors are gone, and there's not even a fire here. There are bits of burning things, embedded in nearby buildings. The street here is littered. It is littered with beds and pillows and books and dolls and people. And it's just gone.
All right, I think I'm gonna size up the situation.
Okay, let's have you make a roll for me here.
That's a 9.
So you have 2 hold.
Okay. Where are the casualties? Are there any survivors?
There are no survivors from this building, but there are going to be people in the adjoining buildings who things have probably been thrown around in their apartments. Floors may have collapsed. They may be caught under tables and doors and things like that. People who weren't in shelters are going to be in there. Now, mind you, a lot of people are in shelters, so it wasn't a full apartment building, but there's still people in there. And you need to kind of search the nearby buildings to see who might have stayed, and if any of them are trapped in there.
What is going to give way first?
What is going to give way first? Let's see here. There is another set of flats that's next to where that building was, and it looks to you like the side of that building is probably going to slough off here soon. Like just the sheer force of it has kind of buckled it, and you can see that at any moment those bricks and that side could just give way. Okay. I will come back to you in just a second. So you're face down in the mud with then your new chum Margaret has protected you from the falling debris. What's your reaction, Evelyn? Do you thank God that you sent your children away?
Oh, wow. Wow, yeah. Good point.
That was a decision you
but
made early. So good
yeah,
call.
yeah. Good call. Good call. I knew I had to keep my children away from you. Yeah, and I think my next immediate thought, of course, is to Margaret, right, who's slumped over me, and I imagine I either like felt the thud like through her body as a brick struck her in the back, or maybe heard her cry out, probably both. So then I cry out and in I don't know, fear, dismay, and Margaret, and I roll her over, so she's lying as gingerly as I can.
Okay.
Sort of like, well, not mean roll her over, like slide myself out from underneath her because she just was hit in the back. I don't know if she has some sort of like a serious back injury,
Right.
and I'm going to treat her as best I can.
Yeah, it's a make time, and then you get a remove harm as one of your options.
Would that not be? I have a special treatment roll. Is that more?
That is
apropos?
for like people who are about to die. Kind of thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because one of the options is to let them die. I don't think you want that option. But you do have patch up, and it has as a make time result remove one harm.
Oh, good point. Good point. Okay.
So mark exhaustion.
Yes, I shall do that as well. Actually, I didn't even see what I rolled. Oh crap! I'm at 5. Does that do something?
Well, we'll resolve that after you patch her up.
Okay. I think I rolled the green. Or wait, no. Shoot. All right, I don't know what I rolled. I'll roll it again.
Ahead.
Yeah. Oh shit. All right. Sorry, Margaret. I rolled a 3. So even with whatever pluses, that's not going to be enough to get me above 6.
The good news is you get to mark well, not XP, but you do get to take that harm off.
Okay.
You do get to clear that. The bad news is that building that I said was getting ready to fall apart.
Yeah.
That side of that building just goes down. It just comes down in a wave, and there is that cloud of dust. Like when I mean, it just all falls, and all of the brick dust that was already down from the bomb gets caught up in that, and now all it is a haze of smoke and darkness and fumes in your lungs, and nobody can see anything right now. But you did hit 5 exhaustion.
Yes.
So you're going to check off one of your breaks and then roll flat.
So I can just choose any of these breaks that I want.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think I will lose. What makes sense? Sorry.
No, it's a tough call. Very difficult decision.
Call. I'm trying to think what makes sense just in terms of the fiction. I think maybe I'm going to take shaky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I roll
Just straight flat 2d6.
Okay.
Can I be there for you?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And that does, what does that do for her on that?
+2 on the breakdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right there.
So I'm face down in the mud. You've patched me up, and I'm lying there. Evelyn, if we get through this, I want you to promise me something.
Anything? What is it?
Promise that I want you to promise that you'll go out to the country and raise your children.
Yes, of course. Anything for you, Margaret. I'll make sure that they know everything that you did for me and for London.
No, this isn't about me. This is about you and your family. I'll sort of drag myself up from the mud and embrace you. We'll get through this somehow.
Perfect.
Together.
I return the embrace as we're like in this hell. I can see it. It's like hell what we're in right now.
Oh, absolutely. You need to roll with a +2, and we'll see how much exhaustion you clear.
I actually already rolled, and I rolled very well. I got an 11.
Then you clear all your exhaustion.
Wow, crazy!
It's probably just that Margaret is able to pick you up, and kind of keep you. Margaret, you get Evelyn a little calmed down. What's your next step? Do you want to stay here with her? Do you want to look for the others? Do you want to try to care for people? What's going on? And keep in mind that now, beyond the sort of the limit of this crater that you're in, it's smoke and dust.
Yeah, I feel like Margaret would be shell-shocked after being wounded, having her, everyone can't hear, we can't see. I think the best that I could do would be to sort of poke my head up above the rim of the crater and look around and start to gather myself up out of the crater, help Evelyn up.
Okay.
And then just look around. There's got to be people littered around with broken legs and head injuries and everything, which can just try to help them.
I think you're going to have to size up, given this the absolute devastation and the environment you're in.
Let's see. Size up is with wise. All right. So I've got a 7.
Okay. So you get 2 hold to ask questions. And then I'm going to come to Louise after we're done with that.
All right. Well, I guess, where are the casualties? We know where they are, but to specifically know, I'm going to ask, where are the casualties?
Oh, absolutely. I think right now, that area, that apartment building, that section, that's gone. That site doesn't even matter for your calculations at this point. It's just out of there. And this fire has eaten this building. This apartment building, nothing you can do there. The casualties are going to be stragglers that are in those buildings adjoining that now massive crater. You're going to need to go through there, find the people that are trapped there, put out any flames, and get that secured.
Okay. I'll keep the other hold.
Okay, absolutely. Louise, smoke, dust, and Alfie relieved that you came down off that ladder, but a little freaked out by all the noise.
I also hit 5 exhaustion.
Okay. What do you want to take for your break?
Huh. Okay, I want to say daunted because I never use bold, but I
Okay.
don't think that's it.
All right.
I think I think like I am not alone. There's a lot of panicked people screaming, but I can't see where anyone is. Like
Right.
there's dust and probably like blood and sweat and grime in my eyes. I'm like rubbing at my eyes trying to see anything. I can't hear anything. My ears are ringing. So I think directionless is probably appropriate here.
That sounds perfect. So go ahead and mark that. And then we need to roll for your break to see how much you recover on exhaustion.
7.
7. So you will recover, I think it's 3 exhaustion, if I'm right. Yes, you will recover 3. So that's not bad.
Okay. No, that's not bad at all.
And what would you do then? Is you kind of directionless. You can't see anything. You have a vague sense of, the cries of people off in the distance, but probably you're not entirely sure about direction right now. What do you want to do?
I think I just kind of start stumbling and, I know which way is away from this burning building, where I lived until, a half hour ago. Like I'm just trying to get clear enough of the dust and smoke that I can get my bearings.
Okay. I think the situation is dangerous enough with the crater and the rubble and the lack of visibility that I am going to have you make a press on roll.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, that's a 6. -1 for directionless is 5 plus 2. Okay, still 7. Good.
Okay. Still 7. Good. So on a 7 to 9, you're going to be able to make it out of this area and get clear, get away from all this dust, to be able to get Alfie with you. But you need to choose one.
Right. I think it, I think it, again, it makes the most sense that I'm injured because like I could I could fall into the damn crater.
Yeah. What does happen? How do you get injured?
What could I run into? Or, you know what? Let's
join us in the crater.
It's the thing is you kind of have a judgment about the street and so on, and you're hearing noises and things, and you do take that step and you fall down, and there's a bit of like a metal chair that got blown apart. That's just a piece, where a bent, broken off, and you will come down and it will go across your side, and you will feel it kind of dig in with that sort of rusty metal feel. And Alfie's there immediately. Like immediately. He is there and he has got a hold of your collar, and he's doing that thing where he's trying to pull you up out of this crater. I mean, he just, with all of his doggy might, he is doing that. I'll come back to you in a second. Wow. This has gotten really dark there. Anne, what do you want to do?
I think I am going to enter the building that I identified as being in the most danger on the brink of collapse, and see if there's anybody inside who needs help.
Absolutely. You already did the move to figure out where they are. So I think this is going to be a press on to get people out. Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Okay. And you've still got 1 hold, I believe, right? Or is that just used for other people? From the
it's anyone can spend these holds to add an additional D6 when helping.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that there's nobody else around to help.
Right. You ran off to see what could be seen.
Right. Yeah, and I'm
You're
spending
walking-
a midnight another one of my holds for midnight
Absolutely.
oil to avoid
And we probably see you
Awesome.
marching through here. We see your, maybe the covers of your nice hardcover leather bound copies of Shakespeare. Maybe a few pages where we can see the ink of your annotations. We'll probably see that here. But let's have you press on.
Yeah, and that's not good. That's a 5.
That is a 5. So you will start to get up there into this place, and as you're maybe halfway up to get at it, I mean, fires. You'd be talking about that, but this kind of structural thing, that floor above you comes down, and it absolutely comes down and crashes on top of you. And while you're not injured, you are pinned there. Like the beam comes down, kind of presses you in, and you are stuck there right now.
Okay.
Seem fair?
Yeah, this is.
So let's come back to, also, I just want to point this out to you, Anne. No one knows where you are.
Yes.
So let's come back to then Evelyn.
Well, the patients just come to me, don't they? Like, let's see.
I will say that even though we still got that problematic visibility, you will definitely see Margaret because you're in this crater, and now you will see Louise.
Okay. Yeah, I think. I mean, so Margaret, I think she seems to be okay.
Yeah, you patched her up.
Well, we patched her up, right? So I guess the next logical thing would be to rush over to Louise, who's come careening down the side of this crater. Yeah. So I'm basically gonna be trying. I think making time again. This time with Louise.
Sure. Mark exhaustion and make that roll.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've got that.
I've got a bone weary move where I drag myself over to where you are and start helping get bandages out and all your fancy first aid stuff that I've watched you do. So you can it's just a +1, but we form another bone.
Oh, nice. Oh, fart knockers. That's a
little
British expression, right?
But okay.
Fine. Bloody hell. How about that?
Okay.
See, I got 4. With your +1 is a 5. I don't think I have any other pluses that would apply. Yeah.
So the good news is you do.
Oh, but I do get to remove the harm, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
You still do. Yeah.
But
the bad news is you start hearing people who've kind of come, here in the distance, and you kind of are looking up, and now you can see that haze is still around, so it's really hard to see. But now, as that haze is starting to diminish, that red glow off in the distance is even brighter. And you hear people shouting, and you hear people shouting, St. Paul's! St. Paul's is on fire! The cathedral is on fire! The dome's fallen! The lead dome's fallen!
Wow, I'm single-handedly destroying London, I feel.
Yeah, there you go. Which makes this...
The Germans are helping a little bit.
Yes. Which makes this December 29th, 1940 is now the date. So now we have a specific date. And that's a conflagration. That's the fires that are burning in the heart of London right now as St. Paul's goes down.
Well, I don't have time to pay too much attention to that because we're patching up Louise here.
Absolutely. Margaret, what are you doing?
Well, actually, seeing the blood and seeing my teammate ripped up like this pushes me over the edge.
Okay.
So I got to 5 exhaustion, and so I'm having a breakdown.
All right. So what do you want to mark?
Let's go with shaky.
Okay. And then let's have you roll 2d6 flat. See how much exhaustion.
I got a 5.
So the good news is you get to clear 1 exhaustion.
Yes.
So you're back to 4.
Oh.
Which brings us to Louise. Smoke and dust are starting to dissipate. Your 2 companions are there. Your 4th companion is not. What do you want to do?
I think that's what I noticed finally. I look around and, kind of painfully, get up and so don't feel like I'm still sliding down the wall of the thing. And kind of stand up in the water and look around. And I'm like, where's Anne?
I thought she was with you.
No, I went up. Nobody was, nobody went up with me. She was trying to find a hose, but that's the last I saw her. Where'd she go?
It's a big explosion. It's a big explosion.
Oh God, I have a bad feeling about this.
We better go look for her.
Yeah. The good news is that you have a rescue dog who knows Anne.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I might be moving to an epilogue right now. Let's have you roll size up. You always get to ask that casually question.
I always do get to ask that question. Yes. Okay.
Is there any way for us to help, or I don't know if there's any mechanic for that?
Don't think so on this.
No. Okay.
And I don't think any of you have bonds.
I'm not working alone, so that's good. So that's what is that? That's an 8.
That is an 8. So you get 2 hold plus your bonus question. So what's your first question? And it could be you can rephrase. Yeah. Essentially, yeah. You tell Alfie, and Alfie begins. He is on this despite the noise and the smell and the smoke. He begins running, and you will kind of follow behind him, maybe a little bit hobbly, still those wounds, and you will get up to. And it takes you a second to realize that this is your apartment and it's gone. Absolutely wiped off the face of the earth. But you will see Alfie runs up to one of your joining buildings where the side of the building has collapsed, and he's there, clearly doing that indication. What's your second question?
How can I get in there?
You're going to have people kind of boost you up to get up there to be able to kind of get her out of there.
Okay. Did the others come with me, or are they?
I assume that you did, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to have them boost you up?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
kind of look at them. I need to get up there. She's up there.
So, Margaret, Evelyn, it's kind of incumbent on you two, the Dany housewife, and the 50-year-old woman who's already taken a back injury, to lift her up.
And then I look at him like, or I could lift one of you.
But they don't know how to do this, how to rescue them like you do.
True, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is.
So I think one of you can press on. One of you two will press on. Now you can, because you're working together. I think you guys have bonds with one another, right?
Yes, we do.
You can burn a bond for an extra die.
Oh, geez.
And you can burn multiples.
Do you want? I mean, do you want me to roll for it, or I don't know. What do you think, Margaret?
I don't think I've made a successful roll this evening, so maybe you should roll for it.
I've had some spectacularly catastrophic rolls, but such is life and war. Okay, I'll go for it. And I guess I'll burn the bond.
We
and
get
that gives me
two, so go ahead and.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have two. How do we get two?
So you would roll with nerve.
Okay.
And roll 4d6 and take the two highest.
Okay, 4d6. Roll highest. All right, so 10 then.
Okay, so you two, what does it look like with you two working together to get her up?
I imagine like we join hands, right? Because we're like gonna Louise is going to step, right? Use our hand as like a stepping stone ladder step. So I think we maybe put our hands together. So it's also like an emotional bonding moment as well.
And push, lift, and you'll climb up, Evelyn, and get to that floor, and you can see that the section of the roof has come down, and you're pleased you don't see any blood. But you do see Anne, covered with dust and soot, and you kind of shake yourself, and you see Evelyn has climbed up to where you're at. Probably awoken by the sound of Alfie barking. It's probably what kind of brought you to.
Right.
Anne, are you? And I see some movement. Yeah.
Yeah, and I shout out that I'm pinned. I can't move.
All right. I assume you're going to try and get her out of there safely?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, it's good you have a move for that.
I do. Yeah, where is that? That's not it.
Dig in. Your third move.
Oh, yeah, dig in right there. Yes, I'm staring right at it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I think that is essentially you can press on with that one. I think is.
Yeah, it doesn't say like what I roll with, but I assume that's it.
Yeah,
it makes sense. 6. I'm real glad I put points in nerve. I've rolled so many 6s on, and so 8.
8. So you will do that, but you need to pick one from that list.
Yes. Yeah, obviously she's intact and healthy.
Okay. And then what do you want from your 7 to 9 list of results on press on?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah. Here's the second half of that.
Wow. I don't think the situation could get much worse without just killing all of us, so I'm not going to pick that one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't get a chance to see if there was anyone else in the buildings. There could be someone else who's endangered.
That could make sense. Like me doing this would endanger someone.
Sure.
I mean, he's shifting the rebel around. There could be someone else trapped in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So your choice is someone else is endangered.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it is that you're going to get her up out of this, and some of this rubble gives, and you will hear this yelp from down below as the rubble hits. And you two who are down here with Alfie will see this chunk of rubble hit Alfie.
Oh.
Oh.
So what do you do, Anne, when you get pulled out and you hear that yip?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to retreat from the building, and when I see what's happened, I'm going to try to comfort Louise.
Okay.
Because I know this is going to hit her hard.
Okay.
And yeah, and I guess I'm going to burn the last of my midnight oil so I don't drive myself to exhaustion with that.
Perfect. Let's have you roll soft here. Kind of get a hold of Anne before she can go down.
Okay. Oops. That's an 8.
Good. So you get to choose one: remove exhaustion, gain a bond, or give one forward.
What is her I mean, I will remove to exhaustion.
Oh, yeah, that should actually be 4. So I'm glad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of stop her before she can rush down. Let's come to you, Evelyn.
Okay, so Anne has been rescued. The dog is. Can I do first aid on the dog? I don't know.
Absolutely. That's what it's there for. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is not your standard thing. I think this is the point at which you're going to be rolling that treatment roll.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Shit. I think I got a 6.
Did you burn any bonds? Did you have any bonds left to burn?
I forget. I'm a little bit confused by the bonds. Like, I had 2 with Margaret originally. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. One for laughing, and a second one when I helped patch up
Right.
Louise.
And she could have certainly spent the bonds as well.
Okay. So I think that means I've got.
I think
one
you've got
left.
one more. So I think you can burn yourself to the ground and roll one more die.
All right. Let's do it. This is Alfie after all. Oh, I don't know if that rolled or not. I will do it again.
Okay.
I think it just wants to be a 4. All right. So then that's like 7.
Yeah. So you get to choose one. You say you save them, but you take a -1 on subsequent patients, which you don't have anybody right here right this second, or you can let them die.
Right. I think I shall save them.
Okay.
I save Alfie.
Okay. So you, Evelyn, have kind of got her calm. Got Alfie calmed, and you and Evelyn can come down. Alfie's still alive. He just has that look of just like, and he's certainly milking it for all it's worth here.
I think, I think I just like go up and Evelyn. Yeah, I think I just go up and hug Evelyn. Like, I did not expect to feel this concerned about this dog, because like I didn't want a dog in the first place. But yeah, obviously I am, and and he's been with me and he's like helped me all this time, and I think I'm shocked by how strongly I feel about this. But yeah, I just like throw my arms around Evelyn. I'm like, thank you.
And I imagine that you can get clear of this. How do you organize sort of the retreat from this, Margaret? Where, because you need to take these people somewhere. Where do you go?
Well, I think the first thing is to make sure that Anne is all right, having just been extricated, but she seems to be in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about getting our team
Yeah,
somewhere?
I think this is
these
sites are gone.
Yeah.
So where do you take the group?
Everyone's injured. Yeah. Well, I think we've got to get out of this side of the little, get across the railroad track. Where's the headquarters for our thing? Do we know? Was it the
I
dance
assume
hall?
down by the rail yard, down by the far end of it. So
Okay.
I assume that you will lead them to the tracks and begin using that as bearings.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that they need us to check in, though. Maybe we stop in at... Who's up for a drink? We have no place to go now. Can you believe it? What are the chances that all of our apartments would be destroyed in one night?
So we
Fairly
are now,
high.
Yeah. With your rolls, yes, very high. We're going to move to determining victories. So have.
Can I just pause for a second? The
yes,
image
absolutely.
of all four of us walking down is like Stand By Me, but
yes,
with all women. I don't know.
The haze in the background, the burning of London. That sort of haze, and yeah.
And
Louise carrying Alfie, I imagine, in your arms. That's a great shot.
Oh yeah, perfect. Thank you. That's a great one. You have 2 victories in your score total now, and if you look at your playbooks, I didn't put these on the actual electronic ones, but they're on the PDF that's in that folder. You'll see that each of your characters gets access to different victories. And I'm going to pull my copy of that up too here. I can. So hang on one second. Let me get to that. And I will... Wrong folder. So let's start with our young housewife. I'm going to work my way through this, through the list as it's presented in the playbook. So you have a list of 5 victories there for the young housewife. What are the 2 that you want to go with?
I should have studied these earlier on. I think I will go with... So one of them is you stay busy after the war, even as women are shuffled out of the factories.
Okay.
What do you do to stay sharp?
Yeah, what do you do after that war?
I think I had mentioned that maybe I had dabbled maybe as an assistant, I guess a doula is that's what they're called. Assistant to a midwife, and I think I dive into that. I become a full-fledged midwife, and maybe gain some renown.
Yeah,
right?
It's a well-honored profession. It's not an easy one, and it fits perfectly with the sort of first aid that you've done. What's the second thing off this list that you pick? Because of course that says there are 3 things that you don't pick.
Right. So I want to honor Margaret's request or wish about going to the countryside. So one of them is your children are taken to safety in the countryside or the colonies. I guess we'd already sort of established it in the countryside, but who do they stay with? How are they changed when they return? I mean, can I...
So we assume then
it a little bit.
Yeah, we assume then that rather than just maybe being out there for a little while, you send them out there for the duration of the war.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, and I think maybe I eventually joined them, and I think maybe it's not just. I don't think Margaret specified which countryside, so maybe we end up. Well, nah, I don't want to get into the whole colonialist thing. So, no, we're
Canada?
just like out in the.
Yeah, Canada is part of the
Oh,
British
that's
Empire
true.
still
Yeah, the
at this point.
Commonwealth.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe we end up like in the Canadian, I don't know,
Nova
the
Scotia.
vast.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect, perfect.
I like that
Safe and
image
sound.
of you moving to Canada, becoming a midwife, your kids growing up there with little memories of the war. You know, you
Yeah,
got them to safety, and they don't know necessarily the horrors that you went through.
yeah. I'm thinking my husband probably did not come back.
Yeah, because you didn't pick
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let's come to the working lass. We have 5 picks for you of victories.
Yeah.
What 2 for you?
I think I'm gonna take you make a new life for yourself out of England after the war.
Okay.
And like what Larry was just saying kind of gave me an idea that I think Louise and Evelyn like stay in contact, and at some point Evelyn, writes a letter and talking about how much she loves this place. And I think Louise eventually just packs up and is like, yeah, you know what? I want out of here.
Okay.
And goes to Canada.
I like that. I like that. And what opportunities do you find there?
I'm not sure. Like it's the 1940s in Canada. I don't really know what it was like.
Like do you get yourself a good paying job? Do you find yourself a husband? Do you study? What do you think?
Lumberjack.
I think I do get myself I think I get a job. Like I said, I'm not sure what was going on that was in Canada in the 40s.
There's some light industry and stuff there, and if you go to a major city, it can be just like an urban area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a great job. I think it's better than the bomb factory.
Yes, during the war, yes.
Yeah. So that's an improvement.
Yep.
So that's good. I don't think like this is a huge dramatic like rags to riches story. I think this is a rags to slightly newer rags story.
Okay. So what's your other pick of victories then?
But I think what luxury do you enjoy after the war you never had imagined? I think I have a car. Because I was like, I can't drive and last session. I think that's it. I think I get a car.
I love that we would get the image of you driving with Alfie sticking his head out the window with the wind whipping by there. Very nice. Very nice. Which brings us to our educated woman. What does an educated woman want to do? What are your victories for?
I mean, I think I get a job in military intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I'm analyzing aerial photographs, I spot a bombed out German headquarters building. Everyone who looked at the photo before me thought that this building was completely wrecked, but with my experience as a fire warden, I'm able to say, "Hey, wait a minute! There's still one floor that's intact."
Nice.
And they're still using this building.
Excellent. And what's your other pick?
After the war, I write a book about my time in the ARP, and I talk about the women I worked with, and how much. I mean, I talk first about my time at Oxford, how much I admired the women there, and then I talk about how I went to London and I worked with just these regular uneducated women, and how much I learned from all of them.
Okay.
And how much I appreciated and respected them, and how I became a much more I became a much more educated woman as a result of just learning from their everyday experience.
Nice.
And yeah, and the moment that's at the center of the story is the time when I went off on my own, and
Okay.
I got myself trapped. I got myself trapped in a building. I was pinned down by a beam in a building that was about to collapse, and somehow they found me, and they pulled me out of that building.
Nice. Nice. That brings us to the slightly more elderly than the other characters character.
The more
Older bird.
experienced.
And you've got two.
Yes. Well, the first one is pretty straightforward. A child home safe from the war. How did they make you proud? Well, you know, it's obvious that it's Evelyn's children when the war is over. Maybe you spend some time in London before moving off to Canada, or maybe it's just the short little trip. You come back from the farm and we meet for a few hours before you board a plane or a liner or something. But in any case, just seeing your kids, and it's made me feel you're almost like myself. So during the World War I was the young woman, not on the front lines, but in the war zone, risking my life. And here you happen to have children, which is different, but these children are almost like my children in a weird sense now, because I see what you've done with them.
Nice.
I think, I mean, maybe they do call you like grandmama or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, or auntie cool. Or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And they can write letters. And how do your comrades repay you in your old age? Well, you know, I don't live a whole lot longer after the war. Maybe another 10 years, 12 years, something like that. So maybe the occasion of my passing is an excuse for you all to get together one more time and remember the good old days during the war.
Yeah, we could do that fade where we see the characters slightly older, that got the grayed hair, makeup, and that kind of thing. A picture of you off to the side at the same table.
Yeah, you know, I mean, talking to these women, I think this is when I get the idea to write a book.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, go on.
Oh no, I telling Evelyn's kids about like how Margaret was like kind of kept us all going and kept us all together. Kept us all more or less sane. And like how heroic that was.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you all very much for rolling us into that lovely ending here. I would like to take a couple of minutes to maybe talk about your impressions of the system, what you thought, what you liked, and maybe some things you would have liked to have seen more of, is usually how I do it. Things you dug and things you would have liked to have seen more of. Stephen, I'm going to kind of go reverse order and start with you. What are your impressions, your thoughts here, having done this one shot?
I thought the second session, where everything was going wrong, it seemed a lot more dramatically interesting than the first session. I mean, the first session, it felt a little like it was like, I mean, most Powered by the Apocalypse games, failure feels like it adds complications,
right,
and story. And this, the first session, it felt sort of like just like resource management. Like there were consequences, but there were not complications. And in this one, it felt a lot when things kept going wrong. So much was going so wrong and so fast. It felt like it was actually adding complications to the story. It felt more like a traditional PBTA game to me.
Yeah, I will honestly say a lot of that is me getting comfortable with what's going on. I think I had a much better sense of what we'd be doing at the table, and I think I got into my comfort zone in the second session.
Could be. I think it's also, but I think it's also has something to do with the fact that we were rolling so much worse.
Oh yeah, you were terrible. Your rolls were terrible. It was bad, and I did stop at a point. I was like, okay, we don't need to roll the raid die anymore. I think we've got enough burning buildings at this point. So
yeah. I noticed that there was space for 6 incidents. And
yeah.
In a normal game, do you go until you have 6 and then it's at an end, or I mean, did you decide to call it, or did you just decide to call it early?
The rules say the night ends when your session ends. So
okay,
you decide, if you're going 4 hours, you end it then.
Right.
So
okay.
Larry, what about you? Thoughts?
Yeah, let's see. I liked. I think, yeah, especially in the second session, I thought just the continual mounting of our exhaustion, the way that accumulated, did create, I don't know, like a certain like dramatic tension. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna like break. I felt, yeah, that gave me that mechanic added to some of the fictional drama for me. So yeah. I did start to appreciate that, especially in this second session. I guess, and the other thing I liked about this session was that we started to interact more, like the PCs, especially things got like very interesting, like in the crater. And then, I mean, just now the epilogues I thought were also really great. So I liked, yeah, I liked the questions. I guess the part that, sorry, this is not, I'm not going to articulate this very well.
No,
I felt like maybe there weren't as much like mechanical support for interpersonal drama, perhaps. And I don't know whether that has something to do with the way that the what's the move? Make time move?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not quite, those choices aren't quite as interesting as they could be, or
I think you're right. Yeah. They're very generic in their application. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're hitting on something there that if you were going to do this more, I would think I would have to think about getting a better or some other options there. I think you're right.
But that was the one sort of area where I think it maybe it could be strengthened a bit.
Okay. I think that's a fair assessment. Harry?
I echo what everyone has said. In regards to what Larry was just saying, is there like a not on the front lines sort of interlude, like a domestic interlude where you see the people getting ready or afterwards or something like that?
The only thing it has is at the beginning, it talks about, hey, play out the preparations. Anytime anybody does a move, even if they don't fail, you do a raid clock, and that kind of primes the pump. But afterwards, it's very much, rolling. Though when we did the stand down move, I think maybe that's the place where it expects you to kind of do those conversations and so on. And you and all of you grabbed onto that and made that work there. So I think that's probably the space for those kinds of moments.
Yeah. I think the way the game is set up, we all have very different skills. So especially the first session, we were kind of running off in different directions and not interacting that much. I think when we started having all these failures and ended up in the crater together and having injuries, and that was what got us interacting with one another and working more as a team. So I guess I'd like to see the rules somehow make you work as a team. with the different skills.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things is it has the bond system where you can help each other, but you don't start with those bonds. You don't start with any of those. And you have to then do an action to build them and then do something else to use them. And I think it's a great idea, but I almost think if I were going to run this again, I would have everybody start with a bond. Just to have that on the table.
Yeah.
See how that would.
Yeah.
Because it gives you another way to describe your character. It sets something up. Everybody can then see the bond mechanic in play, and they can lean into it then.
Yeah.
Can I also just one thing that Harry you just said? Like, I feel like starting off the game, like maybe with like some kind of more slice of life type scene. Because I feel like we dove right into bombs dropping, yeah, I don't know. I think if we just had like a quiet moment, that the contrast even just between, more domestic or just interpersonal scene and then flames, also might have added.
That's a really good idea. I think that would make sense. To have those moments to talk and play that up a little bit more than I did. And Bethany, I'm going to give you last word here.
Yeah, so I was a little surprised at some of the way some of the moves are like on a fail, you get to do this anyway. And you get hold 4. And then like in play, it's like, oh yeah, now I see why this works. This works because it speeds things up and it keeps this like breakneck pace, and it's obviously built for a 1-shot or like 2, or it's not going to go for more than 3 or 4 sessions because you're all going to be dead.
Yes.
London will be like the entire city will burn down and all of the characters will be dead. So like it's clearly meant to, have big dramatic things happen very quickly, and it does that really well, I think. But yeah, I agree that I think starting with bonds already in place would probably help a lot. For one thing, it would like kind of direct our attention to, this is a thing you can do. These bonds are, but and also, it would kind of establish that during the character setup.
Yeah. I will say I had a good time with the first session that we did. I had a really good time with this session. Like because I felt more comfortable about it. I had a sense of what was going on. I had a sense of what would need to be structured. I felt like I got more out of running it this time. And you guys are all dynamite. I mean, let's not ignore the fact that you all had dynamite characters and you really leaned into them. So it was great.
Yeah, everyone really shined in this session. Like, very nice.
Anything else, Bethany?
Yeah. No, that was awesome. So Anne going off on her own was like, that was exactly the catalyst we needed for the whole thing. It was perfect.
Awesome. I had a great time running this. Thank you for trying out this kind of weird PBTA game that it's such an interesting niche. I'm glad we got to do it, and I really love this session. So I want to thank all 4 of you again for taking this chance.
Yeah, thank you for putting it on the calendar. Like I said, never heard of this game before, but it's awesome, and I like rope my face-to-face group into playing it as often as possible.
Oh yeah. I really want to see more people play it. I think it's really cool. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.